Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Beauty Business Blueprint Summit. I am so grateful that you could be here today. My name is Heather Boss, and I am here hosting this summit to help young entrepreneurs or new beauty entrepreneurs open their first location with clarity and confidence. And we all know there are so many things that go into opening a brick and mortar. And on that note, I would love to introduce to you an expert that I'm so grateful that could be here with us today because he is going to share so much information for you all about marketing and ads and all that good stuff that goes into opening a new business. Everyone, I would love for you to meet Jake Randolph. Hi, Jake. Thank you for being here with us today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure. I feel like we're going to learn so much from you and that you're going to blow people's minds. So, everyone watching, please get your notebook out and get your pen out and take notes. Okay. This is going to be some amazing information that's coming your way. All right. So let me tell you first a little bit about Mr. Jake Randolph here. He is actually one of the top marketers in the beauty industry, you guys, and you really want to pay attention when he starts answering some questions. Okay. He has worked directly with over 5,000 beauty businesses since 2017. That's a lot of beauty businesses. He owns several highly rated advertising agencies, including Beauty Biz Pro, PMU Marketer, and Permanent Jewelry Making. These companies have helped beauty businesses worldwide generate over $100 million in revenue, y'all. $100 million in revenue. That's amazing. Jake is also an owner of a permanent makeup and beauty studio in Illinois. Jake, amazing. Wow.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I know that like in the bio, it sounds fancy and yeah, I've helped thousands of beauty businesses, but I always think back to the first day I started when, I come from an Air Force pilot background. I was an Air Force pilot for a little over a decade. And, in the middle of that career, I was looking for ways to, help more people. And, flying was fun, but it wasn't my passion. And I remember sitting down with my aunt at a Thanksgiving dinner when I'd went home for Thanksgiving, and she was talking about, this was back in 2017. She was talking about, okay, I've shared a post, and this is when social media was still like pretty new. I've shared a post on Facebook, I've gotten some bookings from it, but I'm really struggling to get my permanent makeup and salon booked up. And now she does aesthetics as well. But long story short, I was like, well, I've been watching some different things on advertising. It's something I've, dabbled with in college. Let me try to help you. And so, long story short, I started running some ads for her on Facebook and Instagram. And she went from getting, sparse bookings 1 or 2 days a week to being booked up 5 days a week. She could have been booked up more than that. She just didn't want to work more than 5 days. And then that's kind of how it all blew up. So that's how, everybody asks, like, how did a guy get in the beauty industry,
Right.
coming from a military background?
And an empire was built from there. And it's
Yeah,
amazing.
I'd like to think so. And you know what, we've been blessed to work with a lot of great, beauty professionals, estheticians, med spa owners, etc. And now, my passion is really just to bring that knowledge to people because I know how big of a struggle it is, to start out. I know how scary it is to open the doors, and then, you've done all this stuff, you've done your build out, you've, invested in training, you've got the greatest machines, but then you don't have any clients. And so I know the pain of that, and that's why I want to help, maybe with your audience and, everybody attending this, avoid a lot of those mistakes that I do see, people make.
Absolutely. Well, let's get right into it. You ready?
Awesome. I'm
Okay.
ready.
All right. You're almost on the hot seat here. Okay. So let me ask you this. What are the most important first steps a new beauty entrepreneur should take when it comes to marketing their brick and mortar business, especially if they're working with a limited budget?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing I would say is like everybody has a limited budget. And so that's something I'm very used to. I mean, in fact, about 98% of my clients are solo business owners, and a lot of them being, new or within the first couple of years. And so the biggest thing is start marketing before you think you need it. Because, like I mentioned earlier, like I see it so many times where, you invest so much time and energy into getting this business up and running. But then now you don't have any clients, and it's like, oh crap, now I got to start doing something. And even if you have a great ad strategy, that can take weeks or even months to build up. And so start advertising. Like if you're watching this and you're about to open soon, start advertising at least 3 to 4 weeks before you even open up. Now, going back to the original question, with ads, what are the best type of ads to run? Before we dive into that, before we go into, kind of the tactics of it, I want to take a step back. And this exercise is something I've been doing with not only myself, but, a lot of my clients, and it rings a lot of light bulbs. And so everybody, I want you to write this down. What is the value of your time per hour? Now, I'm not talking about when you're sleeping or, off the clock, but what is the value of your time, when you're working? Is it, a lot of times I hear $100 an hour, $200 an hour, $500 an hour, $50 an hour. And so write that number down. Now, always keep that number on your desk. Like I have it right here on my desk. Because what I want you guys to start looking at is I want you to start thinking through the lens of a CEO. I know a lot of people say the terms like CEO, beauty boss, things like that, and I hope you guys don't get offended by this, and I'm saying this from a very humble spot because I did this for years, but a lot of you do not have a business yet. And even if you've been in business, a lot of you have created a job. So here's the test. Can you step away from your business? Let's say, can you go on vacation for the next week and not lose a significant portion of your income? If the answer is no, you have a job. You don't have a business yet. And so my goal for every entrepreneur is to get them thinking more like a CEO, help them build systems and, put things in place so that they can build consistent revenue and build a lasting legacy versus a job that's enslaving them. And so going back to the value of your time, let's say your time is worth $100 an hour. Well, let's say you spend 4 hours a day looking at your phone, checking your Facebook. And if you haven't opened your business, trust me, you like, if you haven't started your business yet, trust me, when you do, you're going to be looking at your phone. You're going to be checking your Instagram inbox, your emails, your text messages, your Facebook Messenger, everything. And it's all over the place. And when I ask this question, usually people say, at least 4 to 6 hours a day. So let's say that you're on your phone, doing all that stuff for four hours a day. Well, if your time's worth $100 an hour, that's $400 a day you're spending in your time. If you do that for 30 days a month, we're looking at $12,000. And so you're literally spending $12,000 worth of your time, doing things that you could potentially systematize, leverage AI, hire for and stuff. And I know you're probably thinking, well, Jake, I don't have much of a budget. I'm a very limited budget. I just started. I get that. But, when I was reading, his name is Dan Martell. It's a book called Buy Back Your Time. When I was reading his book, and then watching his YouTube interviews later, he talks about, he gets asked that question all the time. And it's like, even if you don't feel like you're in a position to hire or feel like you're in a position to really value your time, like I'm describing, start acting like it, because if you don't start acting like it now, you never will. You'll never get to that point. I know, and you've probably seen this before, Heather, where, somebody's been in business for 5 years and they're still all the stuff we just described. They're enslaved to their business. They can't take any time off, years and years later. And so we're trying to help people get, past that point. Sorry, I know I
That's right.
talked a lot right there.
No, that's great. No, that's fantastic. And I think that when people start opening or start thinking towards and taking the steps and action towards opening their first brick and mortar, their first location on their own, these things don't necessarily cross their mind about being able to step away from their business. That's not even up here. They're okay, I have to pay rent. Okay, I have to hire people. So yeah, no, I'm glad you touched on that for sure. Absolutely. All right.
And
So let me ask you this question. So how can the beauty entrepreneur strategically build both a strong local presence and a compelling online presence to attract their ideal clients? Of course, everyone wants their ideal client, right? Their avatar to their brick and mortar while balancing the demands of each, local and online.
yeah, and honestly, like in 2024, I don't even separate the two because everybody's on social media, everybody's on Facebook and Instagram. Like it's just part of our lives now. And so I never separate, okay, this is what I'm doing locally, this is what I'm doing online. To me, I'm reaching everybody locally especially for my clients, I'm reaching everybody locally with advertising because, you mentioned limited budget. For only $5 a day, you can literally reach thousands of people every single day. Now, compare that to if you tried to go out and talk to thousands of people or give your business card to thousands of people, that would take you weeks and weeks and weeks. Whereas you can do it hands off every single day, with, the power of ads. And so that's why I mentioned the value of the time, because like you're going to hear, whether it's from me or from, there's tons of, beauty coaches and business coaches out there, and everybody has their own 2 cents or tactic on, how to grow a business. And I mean, there's a lot of things out there. It doesn't mean one thing is wrong or one thing is right, but the lens or the filter I want you guys to start thinking about is, okay, yes, I could go do this one activity, but how much of my time is it going to take, and is it really worth the ROI? Is there a good return on investment of my time? Because yes, there are a lot of boots on the ground tactics that you can do, but I want you guys to get ahead of that quickly. And I mean, I'm happy to teach those tactics too, but at the end of the day, like, ads is going to be the number one way you're going to leverage your time in marketing. Because when it comes to marketing and getting your business out there, whether it's locally, online, like I said, I think they're the same, but it's all about attention. If you could have the best machines, the best, pigments, the best, supplies, the best location, but if nobody knows about you, that's like having a Louis Vuitton store in the desert. You have all these great things, but nobody knows about you. And so marketing always starts with attention. And to me, the number one way to get attention is through social media, and then to take it a step further through paid advertising. Because I'd love to see it in the comments if they're watching right now, is guys, like, have you seen a decrease in your Instagram engagement, like from a year? Like, let's say that you've been doing this even from your personal Instagram. Let's say you've been on Instagram for at least a year, which I think most of us have. Have you seen a decrease in your likes, a decrease in your comments? I know I have, and every time I ask this question, it's all yes, 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 yes. Because at the end of the day, the algorithms are getting tougher. It's harder to get attention through social media. Like a few years ago, you could go make a cool post, or you could go do this or that on social media, and you get tons of likes, you get tons of attention. Nowadays, they're making you pay for it more, which I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to pay money for marketing. I don't want to pay money for this. I already have a lot of bills. I get it. But here's my perspective switch I want you guys to have. We live in we're so blessed right now, because we live in a time where you can literally make hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, if not more, from this device, a smartphone. And so our ancestors never had that thing. People were working back in the field 200 years ago, or work, like, even today, like, a lot of people don't have the same opportunities we do. We have more power as business owners on our smartphones than the president of the United States. I just turned on my flashlight. Than the president of the United States had on his 50 years ago. And so what I'm trying to say is there's no excuse for not growing a business. Like, if like they say, if there's a will, there's a way. And that's 100% true in marketing, because literally, here's a tactic. If you're like, Jake, I have $0 to spend on ads, here's a tactic you can do right now. Go to your Instagram followers, whether you have 20 followers or whether you have 200 followers, reach out to them and ask, or reach out to them and message them and say, hey, thanks so much for following me. By the way, have you ever been interested in blank service? So if let's say that you do hair, have you ever been interested in, this kind of hair? I guess hair was a bad example, because everybody's gotten the hair done. But let's say that you do, lashes. Have you ever been, have you ever had lash extensions done? Just a simple question like that, where you're building a connection, because business is all about relationships. And that's really what marketing comes down to, is getting more attention so that you can make more connections and you can turn those into relationships. And every tool and tactic I teach all comes down to those core principles.
I love it. That's great. Oh, the connection. Absolutely. Having that connection. I want to shift gears real quick though. And I want to dive into the nitty gritty of what you are so good at doing. And that's Facebook ads, or just ads in general.
Mm-hmm.
What I would love for them to hear from you is, what is a good strategy for these new beauty entrepreneurs that are opening the brick and mortar to use in creating ads? What should they be doing?
So I guess I'll start with the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake I see with ads, besides just not running them, once you start running ads, the biggest mistake I see is just making it all about you as the business owner. Like, oh, look at me, I've got 3 certificates. Look at me, I'm this, I'm that. And it's good to have those things in the background for credibility, but people buy with emotion, and they justify it with logic. And so if you're leading with logic, like, look how great this is, or look how certified I am, it's all about you for one, and it's just logic. And so how do you switch it to emotion? Well, everybody in marketing or in life, really, everybody either runs towards pleasure or away from pain. And so the best way for marketing is to bring up those, you probably heard of pain points.
Mhm.
So I always say, continue the conversation that's already going on in their head. And so I'm going to repeat that. Continue the conversation that's already going on in their head. So what do I mean by that? When people are scrolling on social media, they've got certain fears, they've gotten certain insecurities, they've gotten certain pain points that are bothering them, whether they're subconscious or conscious. And so if you can pick up that conversation in their head and make them stop and be like, oh yeah, I do feel like my brows are sparse, or I do feel like I need, to get smooth with waxing before the summer, like whatever their pain point is at the time, try to hit that versus focusing all about on you as the business owner.
That's right. That's amazing. Absolutely. Well, you cannot make it about you. And that's why I was so like, thank you for bringing that point up, because I think that, and I've seen this time and time again, that just because you know how to do a service really, really well does not mean that you get to promote in a way that makes it all about you. You have to make it about how you make the other person feel.
Exactly.
And I'm so grateful you brought that up. So should someone start out with Instagram ads or Instagram and Facebook ads? So if I
Yeah, so
want
that's a great, yeah,
ads,
that's a great question.
do I make them emotional? How do I make them where they aren't stale?
Yeah, so going back to the platforms first, there's four main platforms I would consider: Facebook, Instagram, Google, and TikTok. I've tried a lot of different TikTok ads for different industries, for different services, for different, I've never had luck with TikTok ads. Now, maybe this will change in a year or two, who knows? But for
Right.
now, I don't like TikTok ads just because that's based on my experience. Now, we focus mainly on Facebook and Instagram, especially for new businesses. But there is something with Google. Google is good because it's people searching for your service. And so, step one to be able to run a good Google ad is make sure you have your Google business profile optimized. Now, everybody should have a Google business profile. If not, make sure you go create one. It's totally free. So how do you optimize it? Well, making sure you have pictures up to date. So like, show pictures of your studio, show pictures of, some of your work, like even have maybe a picture of you in the bio, because whenever I'm looking for a service or somebody's looking for a service, their first fear is probably like, well, one, is this person, going to be the best bang for my buck? Are they good at what they do? And two, is this going to be some hole in the wall junk place, or is it actually a nice place? And so if you do have a nice studio or a nice spa, make sure you're showing that in your Google business. The other thing is getting Google reviews. So always asking for reviews. So, not those things are not too hard. You're just uploading some pictures, you're asking for some reviews. And once you have that, with Google ads, yes, there are people searching for your service. And so being able to hit those people who are actively searching is great. But what I find is a lot of people emphasize, focusing on that too much. So what I mean by that, well, like in any market, like whether it's New York City, LA, small town Alabama, anywhere, there's only about 5% of the population's actively looking to buy a service. About 5%. So what about the other 95% of people? Well, you got about 30% who are maybe interested. Maybe it's kind of on their mind, but maybe they're not just like, ready to buy right now. And then another 30% that's usually like they would be a good potential client. They would probably book with you if they had the opportunity. They just haven't, it's not on their mind right now. They're busy with life, things. And then there's about 20% of people who, are probably not even interested at all. And so you've got about 80% of people that you could be hitting, but most beauty businesses are just fighting over that 5% of people who are ready to buy. And I hear this all the time. It's like, Jake, they clicked on my ad or they messaged me, but they didn't book instantly. They must be a bad lead. They must be a robot. Like that's not the case. Maybe they're just probably not in that 5% ready to buy right now. So how do you take that 5%, or how do you take that other, 60% of people who could be good clients and turn them into ready to buy? Well, that really comes down to, nurturing them. So building that relationship. And if I had to simplify it, it's just ask them questions. It's the 70-30 rule where, when you're talking to someone, it's 70% about, let them do 70% of the talking and you do 30%, ask them questions. And so, from a very tactical perspective, let's say a potential client messages you and says, hey, I'm interested in waxing, or I'm interested in lashes. Don't just say like, okay, great, here's my booking link. You're not building, if you just
Right.
send them the booking link, you're not
Yeah.
building any rapport. You're not, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so, and the one thing that really solidified that for me is, back in the pandemic, what were we missing the most? It was human connection. We didn't
Mm.
have that human to human connection. And so a lot of people, I mean, people value that. And so some people who might not even care that much about your service, maybe they just want the human connection. Maybe they want to feel pampered. They want to feel special. And so if you just send them the booking link, they're not going to feel special. They're going to feel like they're just a transaction. And that's the difference between transactional marketing and relationship marketing. And so, sorry, I know I'm going off into certain rabbit
No, you're
holes, but,
great.
um,
So
but
start with Google.
so yes and no. If you have a very limited budget, I would just start with
Okay.
Facebook and Instagram because those
Okay.
platforms are very, very smart now with the algorithms. They know who's searching or they know who's interested in the service. Plus, you
Mhm.
can reach thousands of people for cheaper. With Google, yes, you're hitting some very high quality people who are looking for the service, but it's very expensive. It's per person to reach, it's a lot more expensive. So I would say if your budget for marketing is less than $20 a day, just focus on social media. And
Okay.
then as you start to make more money and stuff, yeah, throw up a Google ad for $5 or $10 a day. And that way you can get some people. Um, but the biggest thing or the other mistake I see in marketing is people focusing on strategy or focusing on tactics versus having an overall strategy. So what do I mean by that? Well, you know, let's say that someone's like, well, I've tried a Facebook ad before and it didn't work, or I've tried this before and it didn't work. Okay, that's one tactic. But if you don't have a full strategy, you're not gonna it's not good enough anymore because as the economy gets tougher, which this year I think everybody can agree it's been a little bit tougher this year. I see it all over the place, especially in the beauty industry. Well, things are more competitive now, which means that you can't just throw out a random ad. You can't just post every now and then and get good results. Like it's not going to work because your competitors are doing more than that. And so, let's say you are running a Google ad and you get them to your website. So everybody write down Facebook Pixel. Facebook Pixel is something I want everybody to write down. Go look it up after this because with the Facebook Pixel, it's easy to install, but you want to do it as soon as possible because what that does is it tracks website visitors. And so when people come to your website, 99% of the time they're not going to book instantly. They're doing their research, they're shopping around, they're looking at multiple other beauty businesses with the same service. And so who are they going to end up picking? Probably the one that they see next or probably the one that they see the most over the next couple of days while they're doing their research. And how do you get in front of them? By hitting them with ads. And so how do you do that? Well, you track them on the website. Now you can tell Facebook and Instagram, hey, whoever visits my website, I want them to see my ads and see my post on Facebook or Instagram. It's kind of like if you've ever gone to Amazon and looked at a certain item, or maybe you gone to a website and looked at a pair of shoes, and then all of a sudden you see that pair of shoes all over social media. That's called retargeting, and so that's a very good strategy. If you do have a good website or you do have Google traffic.
Yes, that's kind of scary at the same time, but it does work
Yeah.
when you use that pixel for sure.
Yeah, and I mean,
Absolutely.
here's the thing: like, social media knows everything about us. They listen to us. They're in cahoots with all the apps you have on their phone. They know when you sleep. They know when you wake up. They know what you eat. They know everything about everybody. And so, why not use that data to your advantage as a business owner and find the people that are looking for your services?
Well said. Well said. I love it. I think everyone is always so scared about how much they're tracking and how much they know everything, people. So you might as well just take advantage and grow your business with the data, right?
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm happy to share some like tactical advice on like Facebook ads as well because I know I haven't really gotten
Sweet.
to that yet.
Yeah, no,
So
that would be absolutely amazing. Please do.
awesome. So basically, Facebook and Instagram used to be separate platforms, but then Meta, like basically Facebook bought Instagram. So from an advertiser's perspective, for the most part, Facebook and Instagram are the same to me. Like, yes, I know they're different platforms, but when it comes to like ads manager, like most of the time when I run an ad on Facebook, I'm also running it on Instagram and vice versa. So when I say Facebook and Instagram ads, it's because typically I run ads on both platforms at the same time. Um, I
And you're doing
have
that through Ads Manager, right?
yeah.
So and they're all
Yeah,
connected into that one account you can log into, right? Okay.
exactly. Because I mean, people boost posts, and I've always been against boosting because I think it's a waste of money. But now it's even worse because Apple
Oh,
recently started charging. Like I saw the other day where a girl boosted $200 in ads, and then Apple charged them an additional $100 in fees, which I thought was ridiculous. But as a marketer, it kind of made me happy. It's like, okay, that's all the more reason to hire me. That's all. But
Yeah.
because you don't have to pay those fees with me.
That's
Um,
crazy.
yeah,
The feedback
but
on boosting has always been very negative. Yet people still they're attracted to it, I guess, because of the ease of it, because
yeah.
it's right there and you can just hit it and your card's plugged in there to Instagram. And I think that a lot of people have a fear over learning the tech side of things, and
Mhm.
included in that is the ad center, for everything. But if you can outsource that to someone who knows how to run the ad center and really knows how to look at the metrics and actually understands working that platform, that would be absolutely amazing. I know I've done that in the past. I've tried to do it myself in the past. But my brain does not go that route, if you will, easily.
Mhm.
I have the creative mind that's like, let's come up with this idea. Let's work on pricing strategies. So having someone to actually run your ad center for you is very useful. It's a smart decision to make when you're ready for it.
Yeah, and that's really why I've designed my services the way I have, because what I realized is like, yes, I could put out a course on, I mean, it would be a very in-depth course on how I do advertising, how we optimize it. But the problem is it's always changing. Like what worked a year ago is now different, or even sometimes months ago. It's always changing. And then as a beauty business owner, you guys are already wearing so many hats. You're already having to do all this stuff and make content and keep your clients happy and be good at your services. Like it's just, you don't have the time to sit there and learn and keep up with ads. And so that's like the one thing I really,
Yeah,
push delegating, because, even with our ads clients, like if you were to hire me for ads, I'll be the first to tell you it's not all about ads. Like you have to know how to sell. You have to know how to do content. You have to know how to do all these other things in marketing. So that's where I want your time to be focused. And that's why we do weekly coaching. We do, you know, we teach our clients how to do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, even our hardest working clients don't have time to learn ads.
absolutely. Every hat, payroll, taxes,
Yeah.
everything. Who has time to sit down and look at ads and mess with Ad Center? All
Yeah.
right. So, Jake, I guess you have a few gifts for us that you might want to share, and tell us about.
Yeah, so I've actually got a book. It's called The No Fluff Guide to Growing Your Beauty Business. I will say, like, I read a ton of books, but I'll be the first to admit most of the time I only read about half the books or less, because I find that these days books have so much fluff in them, and that's why I call this a no fluff. I come from a military background. I'm very direct, no fluff, and so I made this book easy to read to where I can't. I'll try to show it a little bit, but it's just
Yeah,
it's in like a Q&A format. It's got some bonus sections with, like, you could literally just pick it up and within 5 minutes you can be like, okay, I know what I need to do for this, or I know what I need to do for this. It's easy to read. It's easy. And I don't do that because I think people are dumb or anything. It's not. It's just because as business owners, we all strapped for time. And
right.
so I don't want to sit there and read paragraphs and paragraphs of things that I'm not going to remember. I want to be able to pick it up and see a quick quote or a quick, tactic that I can take
Smart.
action. It's all about action. And that's one thing I want to mention is, too many people sit around and try to find the perfect this, or they wait for this, or they're thinking about this. And it just, everybody wants to be a perfectionist, and it leads to procrastination. And so I'm all
Right.
about taking imperfect action. A lot of times I tell my team, like, I could make 5 mistakes and then on the sixth try get it right and be successful faster than most people can make one mistake, because business is all about speed. And so if you find yourself sitting around, week after week, you're in the same position, you're not making progress, it's all about taking imperfect action. And so
Yep.
that's why this book, I made it very actionable. So I'm going to give a digital copy to every single person. And you guys are going to get it, even before it comes out on Amazon. It's not coming out on Amazon until January of 2025. So you guys are going to be some of the first people to get that.
That's
Um,
amazing. I love that. Thank you. Okay.
yeah. And then I'm also doing on top of that, a marketing starter kit. So we have some of our most popular courses and guides and cheat sheets and even scripts for selling. Everything you need to grow, totally free. You guys are going to get that. And then if that wasn't enough on top of that, because I'm all about over delivering, I want to, anybody who's open to it, I'm happy to sit down with you, whether you're opening doors in 4, weeks, whether you're already been open for a few months or whether you've been in business for years. I want to sit down with you and go over what is your current marketing strategy? Like, what are you currently posting? How are you doing with your marketing? We can, give you a good analysis and just, you know, and typically we would charge hundreds of dollars for that if we even have any availability. But, you know, for you guys, like I like Heather a lot. You know, I want to help you guys. And so we're going to do a free marketing analysis for you.
That is so generous, Jake. You guys, did you guys catch all that? Since this is recording, hit pause, rewind, write that down, because this is not something that you come across every day, you all. This is so generous of you, Jake. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate that for our audience. I know it's going to help a lot of people. I'm ready for your book. I love how I love the format that you wrote that in, because I have found myself putting books on audio or just listening to audiobooks when I'm picking my son up from school, where I would really like to zone out and maybe listen to some music and just chill, whereas I'm trying to get my books in from listening to them. But being able to pick up a book and go to something and pull something from it, no matter where you open it, I think is brilliant. Well done. I look forward to that. And thank you for giving us a digital copy on that too. So, all right,
Awesome.
Jake Randolph, this has been
Do you mind
amazing.
if I give them my Instagram?
Please share it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, if you guys enjoy this, please just shoot me a DM on Instagram. Tell me what you liked about it, or I can also direct you to our YouTube channel or podcast from there. But yeah, shoot me a message on Instagram. It's at PMU. That stands for permanent makeup, because that's where I started. PMU marketer or not .com. It's just at PMU marketer on Instagram.
PMU marketer. That's right. Okay. So go check him out. His content's amazing. You guys are going to probably scroll through his page and pick up so many wonderful tips, and you're just going to kind of be addicted to his page and make sure you want to see it first thing every morning. So thank you so much, Jake. I really appreciate it. And I would like to say thank you also too for the audience for being here. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you sign up for the workshop and for the VIP portion of the workshop, because that is what will give you lifetime access to these recordings that I'm doing with all of these amazing experts. You don't want to miss out on those. You will be able to go back and reference them. So if you heard Jake say something a few minutes ago, you'll have access to it. And you can go back and replay it over and over and over again. Other than that, that's it, guys. Thank you, Jake. That was wonderful. There's nothing like having a very intelligent, highly skilled marketer to talk to. We appreciate your time.
All right, so real quick, you mentioned marketers, and I just want to, you know, if you guys are new to the beauty industry, just be careful, because I've been in this industry since 2017, and there's so many marketers out there that'll make false guarantees, false promises. They'll promise you the world. They'll say 200 clients guaranteed, all this stuff. And it's just, I'm actually one of the only marketers that's never done like a bogus guarantee like that. And so just be careful out there. I don't like to talk negative about anybody, but I want to save you guys a lot of heartache. If you ever have any questions about, you know, is this marketing company legit? Is what they're doing legit? Feel free to shoot me their info. I'll take a look at it. But yeah, I just wanted to help you guys out and help you avoid some of that.
There's so many out there. I'm so glad you threw that in, because that's very true. And they run ads like crazy, and I feel like they're in your face. And
Yeah.
if people get caught up with the money making, and you guys, having Jake on has been a true gem, and I hope you value it, and I hope you do reach out to him, because he's one of a kind, and that's why he's part of this summit. So please make sure that you do find him on Instagram. You will also be getting the links to his gifts, his amazing gifts. If you guys don't click on those links, shame on you, because they are fabulous. And you'll be able to stay in touch with Jake through that. So Jake, thank you again. That was so invaluable. And I'm just so grateful that you were able to give us your time today. And thank you to my audience for being here. And we'll see you on the next one.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Heather, and I enjoyed it.